souls. It's episode 17 of the Ground podcast. Congratulations to all of you on making it through the month of January. We're in February now. Hopefully this month is better, and it should be shorter, right? At least by a few days. So that'll be helpful with all the craziness going on out there in the world. I just want to remind you that you are a holy creature, that you are this beautiful union of animal and spirit, and the news cycle is going to do everything it can to divorce you from the reality of yourself as a creature of nature. We are living in a society that has subscribed wholeheartedly to a separate self paradigm, and in so doing, it's pushed an agenda that's very hand to mouth. It makes us think that we have really got to fight and scrap for our survival in a world where the technology that we have and the abilities that we have and the innovation that we have really just provide no excuse for that kind of scarcity. So, I don't want to come out of the gate just blasting your media and your phone, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's the enemy of presence. And we really need to be present now more than ever. We need to be present to these moments as they pass, because the present is all we have. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to read you a passage from my Substack, something that I just wrote a few days ago. And I would love for you guys, by the way, to subscribe over there. That's a good place to find more content from me. I'm going to begin uploading these episodes to Substack so you can find everything that I provide in terms of my content there. But I also want to make a quick announcement. I am just about done forming my LLC, which is going to be called Pick Creative, here in Bend, Oregon. And I have just taken on an amazing client called Cowhorn Wines down in South Oregon. My dream client, really, because we're working through regenerative agriculture, the storytelling piece of what biodynamic agriculture practices actually look like and why they create a better product, and specifically wine. It's an amazing brand, and I'm really excited to be working with them. But it's reminded me that role, while there is going to be a marketing piece to it, it's really more of a storytelling role, and it's a creative direction role. So I am taking clients on short-term contract basis for creative direction. If you are looking for this sort of jolt, this shot in the arm for your endeavor, whatever it is, without hiring on a staff member, you can hire me on a short-term basis, on a contract basis, to get yourself to the next level creatively. The way this is made most real is definitely through my branding services, by allowing us to either rebrand you or to form a brand in the first place. You can see and feel the way the creative process will inspire you and will connect your passion to your purpose and your practice. That's really where my creative force is felt most strongly. But once you feel the synergy in a room where we are tackling a creative process and we're beginning to cast vision and we're beginning to think about new ways to present ourselves, whether it's through advertisement, whether it's through your social media and your storytelling, whatever it is, that process is a beautiful process, and I love being involved in it, and I would love to help you if you have any endeavors that you're working on where that could be helpful. So just roll that over in your mind. Get in touch with me at wjc@pickbranding.com. I'd be happy to talk with you about what that looks like. Today I'm going to be reading to you from my Substack, and this is called The Union of East and West. As an ex-evangelical living in the West, raised in an ether of fundamentalism, I inherited a healthy dose of dualistic thinking. For instance, I was taught you and I are separate, God and His creation are separate, I am not God, you are not God, etc. And all of this is very tempting to accept and to take for granted in a society like ours. We are constantly weighed against standards imposed on us by the people in authority over us. We feel separation between ourselves and our authorities as a result, and when we compare our adherence to these standards with that of our compatriots, we also feel a degree of separation from them. We also feel a major schism between ourselves and nature, due largely to our colonial forefathers' dystopian embrace of the words, "subdue the earth," from Genesis, a bad translation, by the way. Greek thought, thanks to Plato and the like, leaned heavily on a model of the human being as a split creature, a body and an individuated soul. Greece is often called the birthplace of the Western world. After all, Greece was conquered by Rome and was part of Constantine's crusades. It's no wonder that many Western Christians these days have such difficulty absorbing the assertion from quantum physics that there is no real separation between any two seemingly distinct objects in the material universe. Our perceptions feel so ultimate, and we have been inculcated with a paradigm which gels rather well with those perceptions. A human who viewed themselves as an individuated soul tied to a sinful, limited body would be greatly reassured by ideas which appease the unrest and suffering we experience in life. We become attached, mentally and emotionally, to the identity we form within this separate self paradigm. And we really want it to persist. We'd just rather exist in a realm freed from the pervasive, ubiquitous, inescapable, and mostly unnecessary troubles a modern human being experiences. The idea that there's another separate, ideal place where we'll live after we die has helped us swallow the bitter pill of mortality. If you believe you are a separate self, the knowledge that you will die one day is terrifying and depressing without such a doctrine. Atheists who also subscribe to belief in a self separate from everything else, nothing more than a highly intelligent ape, an automaton of sorts at the peak of natural selection, utterly gone when dead, they deserve respect for waking up every morning and living their lives at all in this twisted society we've built, and even more so for doing any good whatsoever in this world without a strong logical basis for meaning or virtue. It's fascinating, however, how similar these assertions we hear in quantum physics actually are to the teachings of Buddhism and Taoism. Thousands of years ago, these great wisdom traditions assumed the oneness of all things as a given. The philosophies of Qi, Yin and Yang, and the Void all operated on this basic assumption. They encouraged a deep exploration of consciousness beyond language at a primordial level. They asserted and taught ways of tapping into an ocean of consciousness from which arise human incarnations as limitless waves, individual only in their rising and falling, each ultimately indistinguishable from the ocean itself. This is the power of presence. So about that doctrine of a separate heaven after this life, you might remember a certain someone who often talked about the kingdom of heaven being at hand and within you. This was, of course, Jesus Christ, the immutable historic figure upon whom the Christianity we observe in the Western world claims to be based. Jesus himself was not a Westerner, by the way, in case you forgot. Granted, it's quite understandable how you could. If we listen to his teachings with the understanding of the oneness of all things, they take on a very different character. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me, has a very different ring to it when I and me and way do not imply separation. And if you believe Jesus to be deeply in tune with the Spirit, if not completely omniscient, then you'd better believe he knew there was no such thing as separation. Before Abraham was, I am. What followed after Jesus' teachings was a badly bent and distorted version responsible for the westward spread of Christianity. The Crusades were only made possible by Platonic belief that Jesus' teachings applied to a separate self and a future reality separate from the one we inhabit now. Belief, after all, creates the reality you/we inhabit. The Crusades disavowed loving your enemies and blessing those who curse you. It instead destroyed them for not bending the knee to their king, ironically called the Prince of Peace. Some version of this doctrinally contrived warmongering persists to this day. This is why, Eastern thought is more important for us to entertain now than ever before. It's a worthwhile question to ask: who benefits from us believing that heaven cannot take place here on earth, but can only be attained by adhering to doctrines laid out for us by those who deemed themselves the authorities? Another related and highly relevant question would be: who benefits from Eastern thought and from a paradigm of oneness not making its way into the mainstream, even when quantum physics is laying it out so plainly? In other words, if oneness is so plainly laid out in quantum physics, why is it not a default paradigm shift being disseminated from our authorities through media? If you are a normal person living on planet Earth in 2025 and not a ruler or a billionaire or a member of the top 2%, the answer of who benefits from these questions above certainly isn't you. You would definitely not receive the benefit of a kingdom of heaven at hand if you believed it was somewhere else. And you would be forced to adhere to these distorted doctrines like obeying the law of the land and allowing yourself to be subjected to governing authorities as ordained by God, like the now more openly critiqued Apostle Paul told us. You're certainly not benefiting from the mainstream's current paradigm of separation for obvious reasons. Instead of a belief in ultimate unity, we stay skeptical of our fellow citizens due to the rhetoric of identity politics peddled through our media. And by extension, we stay cynical about humankind in general as a result of our strong sense of national identity. May these lies be exposed in the light of truth and reason. May their peddlers' weapons be beaten into plowshares. And may the peddlers themselves submit to enlightenment. So that's the kind of light reading you're in for if you subscribe to my Substack. Seriously, if you're interested in awakening and coming into a deeper level of understanding of ourselves, of the world we inhabit, of what it means to become one with God, with each other, with this planet, and to imagine a brighter and more beautiful world, and to together begin to spread this belief that such a world is possible, then you need to subscribe to that Substack. There's a free subscription obviously available where you'll always get dinged when I release a new post, and there will always be free podcast episodes and posts available. But if you're interested in going to the next level, there will be behind the scenes video versions of podcast interviews. There will be unique opportunities to be invited to retreats and to various events that we're going to be looking to put together, ground events, which I'm very excited about. And much, much more, including one-on-one sessions with me as founding members if you choose to become one. So definitely subscribe to that Substack. It's helpful to me, and I think it's going to be helpful to you, and I definitely think it's going to be helpful toward the end of building a more beautiful world. Thank you for your support, by the way. So like we usually do, we're going to end this episode with a meditation. And this meditation is going to be about presence. And presence alone, because our access to the kingdom of God at hand within us comes to us through that presence I talked about in that article. It comes to us through the present moment, which is the only thing that really exists. That's why the kingdom of God is at hand, and that's why the kingdom of God is within you, because it's within this moment we inhabit together. It's not somewhere in the past, and it's not somewhere in the future. It's right now. So with that in mind, let's take a moment. If you're in a busy setting and you want to pause this and come back to it later, do that. If you have a second to pause this and head to, say, just a private area or somewhere where you can get a little quiet, go ahead and do that. But if you're there right now, let's go ahead and do what we always do. Just shut your eyes and take a moment to just focus on your breathing. In through your nose and out through your mouth. I don't know if you heard that, but my back just popped from adjusting my posture, because your breath it forces you to come into this moment. If you focus on your breath, it forces you to stop thinking so much and to focus on your body, on what's going on in your body right this minute. So let's just keep taking some breaths right now. What's going on in your body? You might be able to hear what's going on in mine. You might have just heard my stomach growl. I got a lot of things going on right now. Got to pay attention. Better posture. Need to eat some food. What's going on in your body right now? Are you breathing into your stomach or into your chest? If you're breathing in your chest, it might be stress. Try to breathe into your stomach. Breathing into your stomach actually sends a physiological response to your brain. It tells your brain you're okay. So if there is stress going on in your mind, in your conscious mind, in your thoughts, belly breathing can remind your brain that you aren't in fight or flight. You aren't in a position where your survival is being threatened. It reminds you that you're okay. Isn't that strange that we need to remind our brain of things here and there? We need to remind our brain with our body. So let's do that. Try to breathe in your stomach. And just like usual, you're going to have a lot of thoughts. They're going to be just raging. The conscious mind, or the monkey mind that the Buddha called it, is the prefrontal cortex that's just constantly making decisions and creating patterns and analyzing and commenting. This practice of breathing in to our stomach through our nose and breathing out can begin to quiet that. And it's a deep relief. It's a deep relief. So let's continue. And as you're present in this moment, I just want to remind you that you are perfectly safe right now. Right now, while you're listening to my voice, there's nothing happening. There's nothing coming to get you. I think it was Pema Chodron in her book, When Things Fall Apart, that talked about fear and talked about walking through it and realizing that you're still there on the other side of it. So even if you're experiencing fear, or if you've been experiencing fear lately, you can remember that you're still here. And if you're still here, then there's a lot of hope in that. There's a lot of power in the realization that all these fears that you've felt, that you've dealt with, they have yet to take you out. You're still with us. You're still here hearing my voice. And you will have victory. It might not look how you think. It might come to you differently. Victory is not necessarily being victorious in a trope of victory, in the kind of common perception we have of what victory should look like. Victory is being present. Victory is remembering who you are. And victory is being kind to others and being able to spread healing. And you can do that. You can do that through the smallest little actions. Let's breathe in some more, in through the nose and out through the mouth. You are going to see opportunities to be kind to other people. They're going to arise, and you can take those moments to do that. You're going to see opportunities to help other people, and you can take those opportunities. Now, if you're in a place where you really are pressed, you really are in fight or flight often in your life, this might not be the time that you need to be looking for ways you can help others. You have to help yourself first. You have to get to a point where you are at peace with this pain and with this fear you're dealing with. But I promise you, you can do it. I promise. And you will do it if you continue to come home to these moments and remind your brain that you're still here, that you're okay, that you're going to make it with these belly breaths. You will get through it. Let's continue breathing. One last breath together. Okay, I just want to thank you for being here with me for a moment. Again, my name's Jacob, and I hope that you go forward in blessing, and I hope that you remember to remind yourself that you're still here and that you have strength and that you're going to make it. I hope you remember to remind yourself that you deserve to press through, that you deserve to come out the other side whole and a greater version, a more authentic version of yourself. And if I can support you in any way, please let me know. Don't forget to subscribe to that Substack at groundpodcast.substack.com. The link will also be in the show notes, and we will see you next time. Grace and peace.